The mascot platforming genre is something that we've been seeing less and less of for over a decade at this point. In the 90s and 2000s, these games were everywhere. Every company had their own little Ghibli back then, but now, it's pretty barren. I mean, mascot platformers aren't dead, we still have some around. Of course, you got Mario, Sonic, SpongeBob. And there are also a decent amount of indie games that fit the category, but things just aren't on the same level of how things were back then, which is strange because many of the mascots that aren't around anymore still get talked about for their quality. Franchises such as Banjo-Kazooie, Spyro the Dragon, and Crash Bandicoot still get praised today and have large amounts of fans that would happily buy a new game. And people were hopeful for new games. In 2017 and 2018, the first 3 Crash and Spyro games were remade for modern consoles, and that next year, Banjo-Kazooie was added to Smash Bros, revitalizing interest in these franchises. Crash also got a brand new game released in 2020, so maybe these other franchises will come back. Nah, fuck you, you're getting Bubsy. So during Gamescom 2025, Atari announced a brand new Bubsy game. Yeah, you know Bubsy, everyone loves Bubsy except for everyone. Bubsy 4D is a new 3D Bubsy game developed by indie company Fabraz with Atari, the new owner of the Bubsy IP, publishing it. Banjo fans were on suicide watch that day. The game honestly looks pretty good. It's also incredibly funny. Like, out of all of the franchises to come back, Bubsy, that's the one. What I didn't see a ton of people mention was that Bubsy actually did come back a few years ago with Bubsy the Woolies Strike Back in 2017. Nobody cared because that game sucked. The Bubsy franchise itself has always just been treated like a joke online, being remembered as just a lame Sonic knockoff that somehow had multiple games spanning many different systems, which just makes this announcement so much funnier. I'm convinced this was a punishment sent by God for early 2010s YouTubers that constantly made fun of Bubsy. Now, this announcement got me thinking, were the Bubsy games really that bad? Like, the games had to have something that made them successful. And with the Bubsy Perfect Collection coming out on modern platforms, I have no reason not to play them. I don't got $20. Good thing emulation exists. For evil criminals that skin infant babies! Good thing I conveniently found this copy in this basement that I totally have.
What are you doing in my house?
So before we play this, we gotta know, how did we get here? Our story starts with a man named Michael Berlin. He worked in the game industry, primarily developing adventure games for multiple different companies, and in 1990 he would join Accolade and help develop Altered Destiny and Less Manly. Around this time, he would start to experience burnout from making mostly adventure games. He looked for inspiration, wanting to design anything that was different. He then discovered Sonic the Hedgehog and got the idea to make a 2D platformer. He went to his producer about wanting to make the game, and they said no. In fact, they told him that the only thing he could actually do was make adventure games. Michael asked the producer to tell him what he could do to prove them wrong. The producer told him to write an analysis about why Sonic 1 worked as a game. So Michael proceeded to play Sonic 1 for 14 hours a day for a week straight. Not only to analyze it, but to get ideas about what he wanted to do with his own 2D platformer. He then wrote the analysis and showed it to the producer. The producer liked it but didn't pick it up as they were busy with other projects at the company. Michael then found a different producer and they helped pitch the project to the higher-ups at Accolade. Seeing how Sonic 1 sold like a bajillion copies, Accolade decided to pick up the project and development would officially to start in December of '91. Originally, Accolade wanted to make a licensed platform about Chester the Cheetah, but Michael convinced them that a new original character would be better as they wouldn't have to pay licensing fees. The team worked on multiple different designs, trying to make something that would have the same appeal as somebody like Sonic or Mario. The design of the character was going to be something inspired by older cartoons, but also had that attitude that was basically required for every 90s mascot. After a few months without landing on a specific design, Ken Macklin, who was working on the game as a background artist, was asked to make one due to his history with making Afro characters, and he would be the one to make the final design for the character we all know and... no. I honestly love Bubsy's design. It's pretty good. I hate when he makes this specific face though. Ugh. The game was set to release on the Genesis in September of '92, but was then delayed to '93 due to a legal dispute between Accolade and Sega. Advertisements of the game would go out, and Accolade went all out. Game magazines were hyping it up as the next big thing. Promotional contests were held. They sent a guy to CES '93 wearing a Bubsy fursuit. People were pretty excited for the game, which is good because if the game wasn't successful, then everyone would lose their jobs. Yeah, Accolade spent so much money on advertising that if the game failed, then they might have gone bankrupt. It would eventually release on the SNES in May of '93 to good reviews? Yeah, the game actually reviewed pretty well. The Genesis version released later had also received pretty good reviews. No, this can't be right. Was every game reviewer online wrong about this game? Would JonTron really say such horrible things? Don't answer that. Well, it's time to play this game and have some fun.
What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, first impressions? The game looks good. The graphics look nice. The music's alright. Moving forward. This feels good. Maybe the critics back then were right. This might actually be a good... What? That was probably just a bug. Let's go here and... No. You're joking, right? They put fall damage in a 2D platformer? I can't even begin to comprehend the logic behind this. Who thought this was okay? No, seriously, who? I just want to talk to him. Let's just try to ignore this for now. How does Bubsy control? Well, moving left and right feels fine enough. Jumping feels alright, however, for some reason, whenever Bubsy lands, he has a landing animation that lasts for a half second, which sometimes kills your momentum. It's not that noticeable just watching it, but when you're in control, you feel it happen. In Sonic 1, when you land after jumping, you keep that momentum going. You would think Bubsy would be the same way, considering that Sonic 1 was its direct inspiration, but no, I guess they had to be different. Bubsy does have a special move, however. Gliding. You might want to put an asterisk on that. Gliding in this game feels weird. I don't know, it just never feels like I'm going as far as I should be. Even when I build up a ton of speed, it just feels like I'm falling slowly. What also doesn't help is that the background doesn't change to accommodate for how high or low you are in the level. Look at someone like Knuckles. When he glides, it feels like it. Now, to be fair, Sonic and Knuckles came out a year later, so this isn't really a fair comparison. These aren't the worst gliding controls in the world. It's tolerable, but it could be better. Okay, enough about the controls for a bit. How are the levels? The game contains 16 levels spread across 6 different areas. Our first area is a grass area, your average starter level. You meet the main enemies here that you'll have to fight throughout the game. Mainly these weird alien guys and these birds. The story here is that these aliens named the woolies are invading Earth to steal the world's supply of yarn. Bubsy has a massive supply of this stuff, so he goes out to stop them and protect his stash. You can defeat enemies by either jumping on top of them or gliding into them. This actually feels pretty nice to do, especially when you get a chain of enemies to bounce off of. The level design is... Okay, I guess I was distracted or something. The level design is pretty Okay, that was just cheap. The level design is pretty interesting as it tries to mix elements of Mario and Bubsy, you son of a bitch! It mixes elements of Mario and Sonic, such as Sonic's focus on gaining speed and Mario's focus on more precise platforming. What it also does is have tons of secret paths to explore, like this one take us to So if you haven't noticed it by now, Bubsy is kind of bullshit. There are hazards everywhere that you will run into. The game is way too zoomed in, so you can't see anything that is showing up until you run into it. And something that is directly inspired by Sonic and is meant to be a fast-paced game, this is horrible. Some might say, oh well, Sonic 1 had some bullshit moments, and while that may be true, there's a difference. You see, as long as Sonic has a ring on him, he can survive most attacks. What does Bubsy have? Nothing! Bubsy is a one-hit kill game. You can get an invincibility power-up that lasts a short bit, but other than that, there is no way to get more hit points. I understand that this was their first time making a platformer, but you studied Sonic 1 14 hours a day for a week, and not once did it occur to you that the Sonic 1 ring system was there for a reason. Let's just keep going. The levels in the grass area include things like these water slides that when you land on, force you to slide through them. You can jump, but that's about it. And when you are thrown off, you have to wait until you land to get full control again, which sometimes kills you because of fall damage. Oh, come on! As you progress through the levels, areas that ask for more precise platforming start showing up, which fully expose the issues with the controls. Bubsy is strangely slippery. There are times where he'll just slide off a platform and fall, half the time into something that kills you, because putting a bunch of bullshit everywhere is good game design. When Bubsy dies, a little animation plays out. It's honestly kinda cute and fits with the style they're going for, but animations also play out for other events, like getting wet and crashing into a wall, which don't kill you, and since it feels like anything can kill you in this game, it makes you second guess everything you try. After dealing with some we make it to the end of stage 3, which holds an embarrassingly easy boss fight for us. These two UFOs fly around trying to hit you with yarn balls. Just move out the way and hit them when their eyes are showing. Bam, they're gone. For every area completed, we get a passcode. Thank god! That way, if you lose all your lives, you can just start back at a specific point rather than going all the way back to the beginning. Good job, Bubsy. You got one thing right.
We are all but puppets in this game of life. How's it any different? You can die at any moment. The train goes off the tracks in Mumbai. Women being trafficked in Dubai.
One thing I haven't really mentioned yet is at the beginning of every level, Bubsy has some witty comment to say.
Hey, whatever blows your hair back. More like a bridge too short. Hey, I thought I saw Elvis back there.
It's pretty neat. What makes it better is that you have to listen to it every time you die, which, you know, really makes you think about how funny the joke is. Area 2 takes us to the Carnival. We get the same enemies here, along with new ones that match the theme, such as sentient hot dogs and ice cream that doesn't kill you, it just does this.
What the f*** am white? You're welcome.
If the Sonic inspiration wasn't obvious before, it's definitely noticeable now. Big slopes to run across, chains of enemies to bounce off of, I see through your act. This area is honestly pretty fun though. You have these roller coasters you can ride on, a bell game they can bounce off of. Don't try bouncing off of it twice though, because why would you be able to do that, idiot? These coaster tracks are pretty fun to run across. You know, if you ignore the platforming in this platformer, then the game controls pretty good. You know what, I'll be honest, I'm genuinely having some fun with this game. Now there are still annoying moments, but overall this is an improvement. I'm getting pretty hopeful for this game, so let's keep the good times going. What? That killed me? But I was still in the cart! How? Well, you know what? Maybe that was my fault for assuming that it would just bring me to the ground or something. Yeah, it's just on me. Bubsy, I'm going to drown you in a tub. Let's talk about the other things I like. Graphics are pretty good. It's nice and colorful with some solid parallax scrolling. Bubsy's animations really help bring life to his character. I love his sprite work, except for his idle pose, where he's staring at me like that. I love the moments throughout this area where you're just jumping off of enemies and around the different tracks. It hits that feeling that Sonic offers perfectly. What? Okay, how the hell did that kill me? Why was he able to kill me? This is stupid! Who thought that that was okay? You're having fun, you're having fun. You just stay positive, it'll be over eventually. Just focus on the good. Okay, third part, let's go. Things looking fine. Basically more of the same. Oh, okay, my bad. I should have been watching out for the giant floor of spikes right there. Whoops. Look, I want to like this game, but it feels like every time I'm starting to have fun, it just keeps pushing back. You can't go anywhere without crashing into something you couldn't see. The game does encourage you to stop and looking around by pressing the C button, which lets Bubsy look around the area. That way, you can watch out for hazards. This is stupid. The fun parts of this game are being able to build up speed and zoom through parts of a level. Having to stop and kill all of your speed just doesn't feel good at all. But whatever, we got to the end. Now, what is the next boss? Huh? It's just the same boss again! What makes this different? Well, they move faster now. Boss fight done.
You're a good man, Arthur Morgan. Good man.
I'm gonna follow one now, so bye.
Area 3 starts us off on a moving train. The goal here is to get to the engine and turn it off so you can jump off the train into a canyon area and then finish the level. I like this idea for a level. They reuse this 3 times back to back. These segments feel more like their own level rather than half of one, so this area feels like it's 6 levels rather than 3. The train segments all feel the exact same, with the only difference between them being that they add more and more bullshit. Overall, these segments are basically the same deal as everything else. Get to the end, collect the yarn, bounce on enemy. What? What the hell even happened? I clearly landed on him! As the game goes on, you start to notice that there are 2 different methods the devs use for enemy placement. It's either putting them in a spot to fill space and have you bounce on it, or put them in the most bullshit cheap death spot possible. Why not? And because you can barely see that far, you can get hit by things off screen. Now once again, the game does have the feature to stop and look, but that kills the pacing. And not only that, you can't conveniently stand still in some areas to see what's ahead. Speaking of bullshit, what the hell are these things? Why are they on the train? Do they have a job? Where are we even going? Why are these spikes everywhere on the damn train? Everywhere you go, it's either a massive pallet of spikes or some eggs. Ah, the fucking eggs! Where do they even get all these eggs from? Why are they endless? And why are they always placed in an area where you can't check to see if you jump, land, and oh, the egg hits you? Sorry, you should have thought about that. And oh, hey, guess what? There's more garbage. The train cars have these large gaps between them. They're just a perfect thing to pair with the slippery controls. You platform on these tiny little poles to get to the next car, and whoops, you slipped. You try again, you just slip again, and again, and again, because Bubsy is covered in oil for some godforsaken reason. Whoops, he slips again. Everyone say, bye-bye, Bubsy. Damn. He got that shit on. Okay, let's just wrap up the train segment. No, it's my fault. Even though the other trains didn't have that, and no one expected for there to be a unkillable one-hit death enemy right at the end of the damn level. No, it's all on me. It was my bad. Who thought this was okay? Like, seriously, who? Why would you do this? Now, some may say, well, that was placed there to be a trap and subvert your expectations. And that might be valid. So imagine this. You wake up in your house, you get out of bed, open the door, and suddenly a bucket of acid falls into your face. You stumble from the sudden pain and step into a bear trap, destroying your leg. You try to call someone, but guess what? Your phone's a Samsung, so it blows up in your hands. Now your face is melted, your leg is broken, and your hands are gone. You should have seen all that coming, dumbass! Let's move on to the canyon segments. How are they? Okay, so far I'm liking this. I am no longer liking this. Once again, the enemy placement feels like it's actively pushing against any fun you can have in this game. You get a ton of speed running through the level, and then suddenly you're hit in the face with a jumping rodent. I will give the game this, however. The level design on its own in these segments, I kinda like. Fast moments are pretty good, and there are even more secret areas. I like these. If there wasn't so much garbage in the way, then I would really love these areas. The addition of some sort of hit point system would greatly improve this game, but no, you gotta deal with the sharks. Wait, sharks? What the hell are sharks doing in the middle of a desert, which is, oh, I don't know, pretty damn far from the ocean? Oh yeah, to top it all off, the cacti hurts you. Even these small little cacti that just look like decoration. I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's realism. Desert shark. Level elements that look like they're decoration but actually hurt you. Reminds me of an old friend that went to jail for indecent exposure. After a few surprise tumbleweeds and totally fair game design, we get to the boss, which is something new! A giant UFO that drops enemies in, done! Overall, this area sucked, but the canyon areas did have fun moments. I've said this before, but if this game didn't have moments that made it feel like a troll game, then I would probably like this. So far, however, this game feels like how people who hate Sonic 1 describe how Sonic 1 is, which makes these high review scores so weird to me. But hey, there are 3 areas left, so you know what? Maybe it gets better.
Badamar fried, I knew this was my yacht. Yo, you're moving like a bhakti. Your shorty's calling my phone telling me how you're cropping all her photos on Instagram. God, yeah, so I'm supposed to let her show her body for the 1,000 likes? Family,
Beaverly careful. Beaverly careful. I guess that's kind of funny. Bubsy, I'm going to tie you to a post, plant bamboo shoots under you, and leave you in 112-degree weather, and I will watch as the bamboo grows through your body, and throw rotten tomatoes at you, which will attract bugs that will bite their way into your skin. The 4th area takes us to Canada. Yep, just actual Canada, that's what the wiki says. This area is kind of just an updated version of the first area, as we see similar elements here such as the water slides and big bodies of water. The theming here is also pretty similar, so does this area try to do anything better? No! One new thing that you may have already noticed is that the water is see-through now. Does this mean that you can get in it? Nope, you die. Even if you lightly touch it with your foot, it still kills you. The only real difference now is that there's a longer sinking animation. Why even put yarn balls down here? And what is this drowning animation? He sinks down and then hits a happy pose. Why does he look so joyful about his demise? The platforms in this area are different from all the other areas, as most of them are too damn small, which if you don't land on a specific spot on the platform, that little slip Bubsy does makes you fall and drown. There are some positives in this level though, as in like only 2. The water slides here are a little bit better. I mean, there are more moments where they just throw you into random shit, but in general, they're more fun now, and offer a little bit of challenge, having you jump at the right times to get farther. A relative of the water slides also shows up here, these water geysers. They're alright. There are some annoying placements, but that's not because of the geysers themselves, it's the stupid platforms that don't even work right. Overall, I'm okay with these. They can be pretty fun, at moments where they can be pretty helpful, getting you back on track after you fall. But that doesn't mean they don't throw you in the shit you couldn't see, like surprise enemies. Oh yeah, the enemies. The enemies here. Damn it! You've got the eggs back! Yes, I missed them so much! Woo! And then you got the beavers, which do the exact same thing as the egg guys. But other than those two, the enemies are honestly fine. They're these water-based enemies that aren't really a nuisance. I actually quite like them. They feel like fair obstacles. Overall, I guess this level's fine. God! Fuck you, Canada. Your flag is stupid and your Bubsy level's atrocious. There's stupid stuff around every corner on this level. Everywhere you go, it's just egg, water, spike, beaver, and that music. Oh my god, that music. It's so damn ear-grating. It just never stops. Is this why Canadians are like that? We've got the doorways again. Where the fuck am I? I don't feel safe. Alright, time to wrap this up. But where's the... No. The boss takes place on water? On this tiny little raft? Oh, this is gonna be horrible, isn't it? It's done. Okay, I feel like at this point it's just comedic. Why are the bosses so easy? I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's just weird considering how the regular game is a big endurance test of trial and error. The jungle takes an interesting approach. Rather than going mostly right, you're climbing up the large trees to get to the end. Pretty neat, I guess. I hated these levels. Of course, you have the usual. You know, the fuck, shit, damn it, why? And you also have the camera. These levels are where the camera is at its worst. Now, as I mentioned before, the level has you mainly going up. These are pretty vertical levels, which means that half the time you're going to jump into an enemy you couldn't see. There are points in the level where you do go sideways, and sometimes you have to make a long jump to a platform that, if you miss, you fall all the way down and have to reclimb everything. This only happens in the first level of the area, though. You see, in the second and third level this happens, you just die. These jumps suck, because most of the time you can't even see the platform you need to jump on because of how close the camera is. And even if you use the look feature, you still can't see it, so you just have to take a massive leap of faith and hope that you land the jump. Oh yeah, also some of the platforms have these small slopes that, while not being an issue most of the time, can still lead to moments like this. The new enemies we got here are the bugs. You got the jumping spiders, they're not that big of a deal. Tree frogs, these don't even kill you. And then we got the wasps.
I am Adolf Hitler, command of the Third Reich.
The wasps are so annoying. They fly all over the place, going up, down, all around. This doesn't mean that they're hard to kill. It means that they can just jump you at times because, once again, the camera doesn't show enough. But they're not actually the most annoying enemy in these levels. Instead, it's the woolies. These are always placed in the cheapest spots ever. You can't go 10 seconds without bumping into one off screen. Let's just get this over with. This is the final zone before the last level anyway. The first level here is, not fun, but I got through it fine. The second one, not that better, but still manageable. Annoying moments become more prevalent here, but it wasn't that bad. The third level, this is the worst level in this entire game. Every annoying thing about the enemies in this game is ramped up to 11. Look right here. I want to get up here, but there's eggs being thrown, so I have to time to jump at the right time. But I can't just jump up there. I have to position myself in a specific way because jumping up regularly doesn't work. Well, sometimes it doesn't work because other times it works fine. By the way, you can't see the eggs when normally standing. And when you do land the jump, you have the two dipshits up here you gotta worry about, along with the two others. Such fun! And then this happened where I got up here, killed this guy, the other guy wasn't there, I moved to the right, and he shows up and kills me. Enemies aren't supposed to spawn in like that, by the way. Normally, once you kill them, they never come back. So the game glitched here just to fuck with me. Yay, more leaps of faith, my favorite! I swear, this is where the enemies are at their genuine worst. No other level has so many off-screen kills or surprise attacks. Maybe if the camera was better, we wouldn't have this problem. And you wanna know something I found out? Remember the tree frogs? Yeah, those don't hurt you. You wanna know why? Because they just take yarn instead. Why doesn't every enemy work like this? Yarn working as your health would have worked perfectly. Hell, it would have made some sense. I mean, the main objective of the enemies is to take all of the wool, so why don't they? I guess it's to differentiate itself from Sonic. It's not a good reason, but it's a reason. The lack of any kind of health system just makes this game way harder for like no reason. Look, I'm not saying things are bad just because of the difficulty. I like difficult games. Some of my favorite games have challenging design that test your skills, but there's a thin line between a game having good, well-designed difficulty that may be hard, but is still fun, and poorly designed stupid difficulty that boils down to, what if we just went out of our way to piss off the player? One hit deaths? Sure, surprise attacks, why not? We're gonna get bought out in 6 years anyway, why even try? After gameplay on par with Chinese water torture, we get to the boss. This time it's 2 big UFOs. This boss was more challenging, but in the way that first grade reading is harder than kindergarten reading. A few minutes later, and bam, done. This is the genuine worst this game has to offer. The zoomed in camera, vile enemy placement, most of the area looking the exact same. The wasp really just sucks because I see parts of a good game here, but every time I start having fun, the game just throws a rock at me. And then hits me with a baseball bat. And then runs me over with their car. But hey, there is only one more area. And it's just one level. Yeah!
Are you still playing this thing?
I'm so tired. Last Bubsy level, the home stretch. Heh, they try to get me, but I'm smarter than that. This level. What do you think I'm gonna say? The tight corridors here can make enemies annoying. You got the eggs, the cheese, the guns. It's just more garbage. I do actually like some things about this level though. I think the switch gimmick is pretty neat, having to find different ones around the area in order to progress. The second switch you need to press being off screen on the opposite side of the area you're supposed to go is stupid, but whatever, it's almost over anyway. The level itself is fine actually. It just has small annoying moments. Okay, they're actually big annoying moments, but my point still stands. This is because they spent most of the bullshit points on the final boss. The boss attacks by just throwing random shit at you, and since Bubsy dies to everything in one hit, it just makes things more enjoyable. The best way to fight this boss is to glide and pray that you can get an attack chain fast enough that kills him. I win. I guess you helped. Bubsy, you die to cheese. You die at the slightest touch of water on your foot. You die to eggs. A tiny little nail can end your existence. How do you even go about your day-to-day life? If it wasn't for me, you would be dead in the ground. And you want to say I just helped? Fuck you, you fucking dick! Bubsy busts down sexual style and hops into his limo. It's over. Wow, that game was horrible, wasn't it? Not really. Look. The game is bullshit, and I mean bullshit. The enemies are annoying as hell, and the camera isn't good at all, so you'll most likely run into another damn egg! But I don't think I'll really call it bad. I mean, I didn't really enjoy it and probably won't ever come back to it, but to say that this is entirely bad isn't really true. Of course, the graphics are a highlight. Everything is very colorful and the animations look very nice, especially Bubsy's. The controls, while feeling a bit off at first, actually feel better as you play more. In fact, the fall damage never ended up being a big issue. The fact that it's here in the first place is stupid though. The level design at times is pretty good, mainly in the first half, which is kind of a problem. The second half of this game just isn't that interesting. If you remove the bullshit from these parts, it would honestly just be boring overall. You get the good parts of this game in the first half. The second part just drags on. Even then, the good levels are just fine. Nothing special. There's nothing here that makes me want to play again, unlike Sonic 1, or Mario World, or like any other 16-bit platformer. What can I compare this to? Arby's. I mean, it's fine. It's a little bit overhated. Some of it may be disgusting, but most is the definition of mid. Yeah, you may be eating actual human meat, but that's what makes the experience interesting. I can see why some people would like this game. It does have good moments, and if you can get past the stupid bullshit, then you might have a good time. Me personally, the game just didn't grab me. So yeah, I give Bubsy an Arby's out of 10. I have one question though. How did this game receive mostly good reviews? Like, I see some good aspects, but not enough to warrant a score like an 87 out of 10. In this same magazine, they give Shinobi 3 a lower score. Yeah, Shinobi 3, one of the greatest games in the Genesis. They thought Bubsy was better. I guess the reason for this is because it was one of the first major mascot platformers that went up against Sonic and Mario. Like, what was even before this game? Zool? Nobody cares about Zool. I understand why Bubsy fans exist. Look me in the eye and tell me that you know someone that's a Zool fan. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I plan on playing all the other Bubsy games eventually, and from what I see people in the Bubsy fandom say, apparently this is the only decent game in the series. So I better get ready! Subscribe if you want to see those eventual reviews, along with other games and sometimes movies. You can also follow my socials. I post clips from upcoming videos sometimes, and the greatest tweets you will ever read. I will see you all next time. Goodbye. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the bonus stage. They're okay, I guess.